Hello, welcome back. Another episode. Been a substantial amount of time since I've done the last episode. And you know me, I'm sporadic with it, but good reason. I think my last podcast was back in November. And since then, a lot's happened. Lockdown 2 in November, lockdown 3 now. We've managed to move house during that time. Got another dog. We've had Christmas. Hannah's birthday, staring down the barrel of my birthday. So between November and the end of February, March is quite a busy period for Hannah and I. But nevertheless, here we are. It is the 11th of February, I believe. And, we're coming to the end of our busy period. Oh, and we've got our first wedding anniversary coming up. So just to add more in to the things we have to do. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day because it's made up by Hallmark, really, isn't it? To make people spend money on a holiday that's not really true. So fuck Hallmark, fuck Valentine's Day. You should actually show the person you love affection all year round, not just one day. So if you do get sucked into Valentine's Day, maybe suck out of it again. That sounds a bit bizarre to say, but hey ho. Yes, it's been a very busy period. And, I've leveled up a little bit. I've got audio and visual. So if you are listening on Spotify, pause it right here. Head over to YouTube because you'll see me sat on my sofa. You'll see me sat in my new sitting room. I say new. We've been here since mid-November. But it's still relatively new. The sofa is definitely new. The sofa's only 2 weeks old. But yeah, new settings, new environments, and welcome back to the podcast. Hope you've all been busy. Hope you've all been keeping well. It's still uncertain times that we're living in, but I think we've all had to learn now to adapt a little bit, and unfortunately we've had to sacrifice a few things over Christmas, New Year and whatnot, which was difficult for most. However, mindsets have shifted now, I believe, and we are sort of starting to see things for what they are, maybe, and adapt where we can. When I say that, I've adapted my mindset so much during these times because I guess I've had to appreciate the small things in life, and I'm not talking about my manhood, but accept and appreciate the small things, the more real things. We're actually fortunate for so much that I guess we overlook because I'm guilty of it. Hannah often tells me, you spend too much time on your phone. And yeah, maybe I do spend too much time on my phone, but at the moment, everything that seems most interesting is on there. But what I'm learning to realise is also that everything that is detrimental is on there. So, I'm trying to change habits. I'm trying to not spend so much time on my phone or, use my phone for business things more so than when I've got a spare 10 minutes, look for Instagram aimlessly at people that just irritate me and piss me off. So I'm trying to not spend so much time on there. So, and you have time to sit and think about things, and we live in a world now where we would rather, if we're walking down the street or walking somewhere, for example, and you see something nice, let's take a rose bush, for example, because, not much can be said about rose bushes. So you see a rose bush, you're walking down the road and you think, that's a nice rose bush. You don't often see a rose bush like that. I like that. The first thing you do, or first thing you think to do, we're now like conditioned to grab our phone, take our phone out of our pocket and snap it and upload it to Instagram or, send it to somebody. But the most amazing thing about them roses is the smell. We've walked past countless bushes, countless flowers, countless rose bushes, and we've probably taken photos and actually ignored what their real beauty and real purpose is for. And if we just stopped to smell the roses rather than stop to take a photo of the roses, then maybe we can see things and appreciate things in a different perspective. And that brings me on to my talking point, really, and it is, if everything you have now was taken away from you tomorrow, would you still be happy, or could you still be happy and find happiness with the things you no longer have? And I think I said a minute ago, we're so conditioned to be on our phone, or all these material things that we have. Somebody's got something which is incredible. We want it. So we have to go buy it, or, we have to take it out on finance or do whatever. But we spend so much time worrying about what everyone else has got and how we can get it, and, just trying to constantly level up. We're constantly in competition with each other. But if all of that was stripped back and you had to go back to basics, could you survive? Could you be happy? And I know I could. As much time as I do spend on my phone, and probably shouldn't. I probably waste so much time on my phone. I don't even want to look at my screen time on my phone, because that means I have to be accountable for it, and accountability is something that we're all quite good at avoiding. But I could find happiness as long as I've got the things which seriously make me happy. I've got my health, I've got Hannah, my dogs. We've got a second dog, by the way, which is also added to why we've been off the radar a little bit. But as long as I could have them things which truly make me happy, family, friends, health, my dogs, my wife, then it doesn't matter where I am. I could be living in a cave and I could be happy. I'm quite a simple person. I don't often wear shoes. I'm mostly found barefoot if I'm in or around the house, or I've been barefoot walking around out and about in the streets before, and Hannah's had to really tell me off about it because she cringes out about it. But something nice and primal about being barefoot. It strips away all of the life we're conditioned to be in, and it's just different. So I'm fairly confident that if everything was taken away from me tomorrow, then I'd be okay. I'd still find happiness, because I've got quite a simple mind, and I don't need much to keep me happy. Everything that I think makes me happy is just material nonsense, really, when it comes down to it. And if I didn't have it, I wouldn't want for it, and that's one of the key things to think about is, if you've never had it, or if you don't have it, can you survive without it? What benefit does having this item bring to your life, or what benefits do you have by not having it? It's just things you got to look at. And I have good days, I have bad days. I have good days where I think, do you know what? This world we're living in at the moment is an absolute shitstorm. No one knows what's happening. No one knows what fucking day it is. No one knows whether we're coming, whether we're going. No one knows what's happening. No one knows when the end is in sight. But I have to sit and think of how fortunate I am. And if I ever have bad days, I think my bad days could be someone's good day. And that helps me think, maybe what I've got going on isn't that bad. I'm fortunate enough to live in a beautiful house. I've got a beautiful wife, 2 fantastic dogs. I've got solid income. So other than sort of going out to bars, restaurants and clubs and all this sort of stuff, or external socialising, my life hasn't changed too drastically. But, I count my lucky blessings for that. I'm lucky enough to have a job where my income hasn't been affected. I'm also lucky enough to have a business where that income hasn't been affected. And life hasn't worked out the way I'd planned it to. Short term, I wasn't supposed to be having a full-time job on the side of my my personal training business. I was supposed to be doing full-time personal training by now, but still it hasn't worked out like that. And I am still so fortunate to have 2 incomes, one which I know is going to keep a roof over my head, and 2 is just a byproduct of doing something that I love. So, I cannot complain too much. Good and bad days. But as I say, if I ever have a bad day, I just have to think of the situation other people are in, and that sort of then allows me to wind my neck back in a little bit. But, I'm nearly 30 as well. It's my 30th birthday next week, and I always envisioned having like a big 30th party, or like a huge surprise party, or being out of the country somewhere. And obviously now that's not going to be the case. And I thought I would be saddened by that, but I'm not. I'm genuinely okay with just being in my little bubble with the people who mean the most to me, and just turning 30. So I'm actually looking forward to 30. I think 30 is going to be... I always dreaded 30, and I don't know why. I guess society puts so much pressure on us as a younger generation, whereby you need to have kids by the time you're 30. You need to have a mortgage by the time you're 30. You need to be as high as you could possibly be in your job by the time you're 30. But it's all bollocks. You know, I think maybe a couple of years ago, I was stressing out. I don't have kids. I had a mortgage. I've had a mortgage for like 4 or 5 years now, but I didn't have kids, and there were still boxes that weren't ticked or stones that were unturned as I was rapidly approaching 30. And I used to get in a bit of a tiz about it, but now I've learned to just, you know, what works for somebody, or what one person's perspective of life, or what one person's perspective of turning 30 is, where they think you should be by the time you're 30 is totally different to mine, and what I think is my reality. So their opinion or their perception cannot form my reality. I cannot allow that to form my reality. So I form my own reality now, because what I believe to be best for me is my reality, because that's how I live it. So yeah, we don't have kids, but that's fine. I am going to be 30 in 8 days. That's fine. I'm in a fantastic position. Say, you know, I've got a business which is flourishing, lovely, beautiful house, beautiful wife, wonderful dogs. So as I'm approaching 30, I'm thinking it's not going to be as bad as what I always envisioned it to be. And I vowed to myself that it's going to be the start of a new me, the making of a new me. I spent most of my late teens and 20s just pissing money up the wall. And yeah, it's fantastic, because no great memory or no great story ever started with a night on the sofa. But these nights on the sofa now, where, you know, I'm healing myself, are what is fun to me now. This comes back to me having a simple life. I no longer need clubs, bars or restaurants to think I'm having a good time. I've now learned to appreciate that the things that are right before us are what makes us have a good time. And having a good time is not necessarily your setting or your environment, but it is the people you choose to spend your time around. So 30 is going to be a new outlook for me. You know, I'm going to try and spend as much time as possible sober, because I often find myself, here's one. So the run up to Christmas, I think the week of Christmas, we had maybe 7 bottles of gin in the house. Different flavoured gins, different types of gins, different brands. And I think the week after Christmas, or the week after New Year, should we say, not a single bottle of gin in the house. Because I spent a lot of my time, if I was bored, I'd go to the gin cupboard and I'd make a gin and tonic, which is fine. But I'm one of these people where I cannot, once I've had something, one is never enough. So I'd find myself drinking half a bottle, 3/4 of a bottle, or an entire bottle of gin on a Tuesday, just because there's nothing else to do. And that's dangerous. So I'm going to try and spend as much time as I can sober from when I hit 30, just because I feel like, you know, my body needs it. There's always a butterfly effect when it comes to drinking. And, you know, that knock-on effect always seems to be, you know, I've sacrificed a good sleep, because your brain cannot shut down when you're in an alcoholic state. It fights to keep you alive. So when you wake up in the morning feeling tired after a night out and you think, I've had like 10 hours sleep. Well, that's great. You've been in a slumber for maybe 10 hours, but your brain hasn't been switched off and doing the activities which it needs to be doing whilst you're asleep. It's been fighting to keep you alive. And that's a scary thought. And they say that they do say when you wake up in the morning and you cannot remember anything from the night before, that is the closest to death that you will ever be without dying, because it's something to do with alcohol attacking the memory receptors in the brain, and it's flooding your brain with a toxic poison, and that is the closest to death you will become. Someone can fact check me on that. It might be totally wrong. It might be a load of anecdotal nonsense, but it's something that I've heard before, and it's something that I carried with me, and it's stuck. You know, and the knock-on effect from a night out, like I said, you know, you sacrifice your sleep, so the next morning you're feeling like utter dog shit, and that then has a knock-on effect. This is me personally. It has a knock-on effect with the choices I make for food and drink. I'm never going to wake up on a hangover and, rustle up some chicken, potatoes and some vegetables, which I like. It's going to be McDonald's breakfast and, maybe a gallon of Coke or something like that. But it just has knock-on effects with bad choices for me. And I'm astoundingly aware, the closer I get to 30, the longer it takes for me and my body to recover from anything. It could be training, it could be drinking, it could be a bad night's sleep. And I don't want to put my body through that anymore. So I'm going to spend more time on me. And I always used to think I'm spending more time on me just by, sort of not being on my phone, which obviously has a positive impact. But I also think the decisions and the choices we make around our lifestyle is the best way to benefit us and put time into us. So it's going to... Oh, the smelly thing went off. So it's going to be a lot more positive choices, a lot more outsidey things, without being arrested and imprisoned. I live on the south coast of England, so we don't boast to have like Sydney or Bondi beaches, but we've got some nice scenic beaches. So it'd be nice to spend some more time out in the open and just clearing your mind, leaving your phone at home or leaving your phone in the car and just getting out and walking. We've got a couple of dogs, so they'll benefit from it. Our lifestyle will benefit from it. So I want you to think about, really, my main takeaway point. If everything you have today was stripped back and taken away, could you survive? Could you be okay? Could you find happiness? Could you be happy? For me, yes. Because even on my worst days, if I'm suffering badly with, just feeling down, which is okay. We're all allowed to feel down from time to time. If I have a bad day, I just think I'm going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. And then once you start to see the light in everything that's a bit dark, then your mindset changes, your perception changes, and you start to see things for what they are. And you think, what, my situation is not really that bad. There are people worse off out there than me. And, you have to sympathise with them as well. But the main thing to think about as well is it's okay to not be happy at the moment. We're living in times that we've never lived in, and we don't know when life will get back to normal, if it ever will. Which is scary and daunting, and again, one of the reasons that I'm not too bothered that we haven't got kids by the time I'm 30, because I don't really want Hannah to have to go through everything on her own, like with scans and appointments, and even down to giving birth. If you have to, it must be fucking scary to go through that on your own, especially as a first-time mother or first-time parent. So, I'm not beating myself up. I think 30 is going to be good. I'm excited for 30. It is the 19th of February. If you want to send gifts, be my guest. Just don't send gin, because I'm trying to stay off it. But yeah, there we go. So, no insight as to when the gyms are going to be reopening either. And somebody asked me on my Instagram stories last night, they're struggling to motivate themselves. They're struggling to find any motivation. Their body and their mindset has totally changed through this period. What do I suggest? And I think the reality is we need to understand and be okay with the fact that gym usage is going to be switched on and off as we know it. I don't think the privilege of going to, not that it even should be a privilege, because it's our right, but going to a gym as we see fit, as we please, I think it's going to change now. And I think what I suffer with the most is I don't like how the government have the ability to control all of our lives just by that. A guy goes on the TV, you must wear a mask wherever you go. Everyone's wearing a mask. Guy comes on the TV, you're not allowed to see your family. No one sees their family. Guy comes on the TV, you mustn't go outside. You mustn't leave your house. And the fact that they can have so much control over us and dictate our lives to us that easily is scary for me. And that's what I struggle with when it comes to my good days, bad days. There's days where I want to just go see my parents and give my mum a hug. You know, I haven't hugged or gave my mum like a kiss since March last year. There's one instance where I was seeing my mum to give her a cuddle, and that was when she had to go to hospital because we thought she'd maybe had a stroke. Thank God she hadn't. But you know, the fact that the government can control when I can see, hug, kiss my family sucks the life out of me. And I'm aware, you know, that it's in our control. If I want to go kiss and hug my family, I'll fucking go and do it. But I also have to take into account that my family might not feel the same way. You know, they might have a different perspective of the whole situation than me. So, which they do. We share different views on it. So it makes it difficult. You know, they're very orientated to sticking by the rules as best they can. I'm of the mindset where, you know, we need to get back to normal as soon as possible. We need to start taking accountability for our own health and our own safety. We are all adults, and I don't feel like the government are going to give you this time back. You know, it's been nearly a year now we've been locked down or whatever, and that's a year gone of our lives, but the government aren't giving you that year back, which you know, makes me think we should just take accountability. As a personal trainer, as a coach, I always preach accountability. Why can't we take accountability for our own health and safety? But that's not what I want this podcast to be about. It's not what I want to talk about on this. I want to keep this as much as I can, you know, news and media free, because I feel like we get so much of it forced down our throat, which is another benefit to maybe putting your phone down every so often, because only bad news ever comes out of that handset. So, you know, because we can have delivered to us what these outlets want to deliver to us. So it's not bad to switch your phone off and go and disconnect and reconnect with the world for a little bit. So bear that in mind. If you're ever struggling, put your phone down, go for a walk. Also, if you're ever struggling, if you feel like you have the strength, then obviously you'll talk to somebody. I think a lot of situations can be avoided if we just put ego and stigmas on the side and started to just help each other a bit more. You know, but again, not my lane. I'm not a mental health advisor. I'm not a mental health first aider. I'm just a fucking human with, I'd like to think, half a brain. But hey, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep these podcasts audio and visual now, so you can get to see me talking shit on the sofa. Thanks for joining. I don't know when the next one will be. I'll try not to keep it long. I keep trying to get Hannah on a podcast, and she keeps saying no. She's not having it. So I need your guys' help to get Hannah on a podcast. I'll do a story poll or something and try and get Hannah on one soon. But hey, there we go. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you're all well. Keep safe, keep well, keep active, and don't let them grind you down. I was chasing highs till I found you. We're doing it in slow motion. We're doing